This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
I want to make it clear that the views expressed by our hosts are not considered the official stance of MBR Views. Remember, this is all about having fun and enjoying the ride.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hello friends, I'm Kent Skelton and I'm so glad you are here. Together, we can battle this struggle and find freedom from it all. Life is continuous, and it would be ridiculous to say that you or I don't experience those seconds, minutes, hours, or days that seem like they'll never end. Time continues, regardless of how we feel or what we experience. We search longingly for a way to handle and navigate through these situations we are experiencing. There has to be a way. Indeed, I can find the solution to eliminate these negative experiences and periods of despair I am feeling. Maybe it's not our problems but those of family members or loved ones living in pain. These pains may come from alcoholism, addictions, illness, grief, boredom, and so many other forms. What will we do? Where is that light I'm supposed to be able to see at the end of the tunnel? When will I see it? When will this end? The timing to realize you need help is up to each of us. That's you, that's me. We are each individually accountable for ourselves. We have to make the change, and the timing is now. There's no time like the present to desire and begin that road to recovery. Together, let's reach that freedom from struggle.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Glad you're here with us. Hey, this is Red, Freedom from Struggle podcast, and you heard a little bit about what we're here for right there in the introduction. We're on MBR Radio and MBR Talk. Man, we're excited. I'm excited I'm here. I'm excited that you are here, no doubt about it. And we got a great guest today who's going to be with us, old Steve-O. And he's going to introduce himself here in just a second. But I just want to say, just pray that this have a good show today, and that somebody might be able to see the show, and maybe make a lasting impact in their lives, a positive impact, or you can put something down or fix a problem or fix something that they're struggling with. Because we all really desire that freedom from struggle, and we know one way you can do it. Okay, Steve-O, glad you're here, brother.
It's good to be here.
Thank you, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you from?
Well, I was born in Washington, D.C. and raised in Oxford, Mississippi. Went to school in Batesville. And when I graduated high school, I went to college. When I left college, I moved down to Brookhaven and been here ever since.
Brookhaven, you got to love it. Well, hey, by the way, I'm normally down in Biloxi, Mississippi on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. But today, I'm enjoying my Sonic tea right here from Batesville, Mississippi, at the Batesville Muscle and Fitness Center, BMF. Man, everybody else in here sweating and going at it. Man, they hit it hard, and I'm sitting here going hard on the podcast with those Steve-O right up here in the same county. But hey, look, one more time for me to introduce myself. I do it every week, but I'm Kent Skelton. I'm lead a Celebrate Recovery class, or group, on Thursday nights. We call it Thursday Night Church down in Biloxi, Mississippi. 6 o'clock. Anybody's around town, you're welcome to come. But Celebrate Recovery is a 12-step biblical way to get away from everything. Okay, 12-step program. You've heard of it with AA and NA and all these different A's and other ways, but 12-step biblical process, biblical steps that you can take to recovery and realize that freedom from struggle. I hope everybody hear me okay. I'm not trying not to talk too loud so everybody in the fitness center here doesn't hear me and kick me out the front door, because they could dang sure do it. But I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ, and celebrating from recovery from alcoholism. Had anxiety, I had depression, and numerous other things, that go along with that, whether it be anger issues or you name it. I could ask my wife; she could tell us a lot of things that I struggle with. She knows more of them than I do, but it's an individual problem. Nobody can fix it but yourself, and we can't fix it alone. We got to have that higher power, and I know who mine is. It's through God and His Son Jesus Christ. Steve, I know that we had talked about those 3 steps. You're part of Celebrate Recovery. Which I didn't mention. I hope I said First Baptist Church Biloxi. I mean, this isn't a Celebrate Recovery official type thing, but that's where it comes from. That's the basis of it for me. These 3 steps that Steve-O's going to share, I just hope they can make an impact in your life. Steve-O?
All right, let's do it. I'm going to read the step, and I'm also going to read the biblical comparison. Number 1, we admitted we were powerless over our addiction and compulsive behaviors, that our lives have become unmanageable. I know that nothing good lives in me, that is in my sinful nature, for I have the desire to do what is good, but cannot carry it out. Romans 7:18. Step 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity.
Amen.
For it is God who works in you to will and to act according to His good purpose. Philippians 2:13. Step 3, we made a decision to turn our lives and our wills over to the care of God. Therefore, I urge you, brothers, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship, Romans 12:1.
10:4. I believe that deserves a big amen. Listen, folks, if you could manage those first 3 steps, that is, you're well on your way to recovery and the whole change in life. And believe me, I've experienced it. I've shared a little bit before. I'll share a little bit again, not today, because I got a cool guest. Steve, I met him recently, and we're part of a couple different organizations that are the same, but he's with Celebrate Recovery. I got to hear him in person do his testimony this past week in Gulfport, Mississippi. He rode a bike. He rode his old bike on down there, low riding and styling, living free, right?
Getting burned. I don't know if you can see him. I guess these helmet stripes on my face. You see all these kids nowadays, they call it mewing. They do their chin thing.
That's right. That's right.
Real deal, man. Burnt stripes.
Oh my gosh, man! I know you experienced it. I did see you, man. I heard a little bit about your story. I just hope you can share who you representing today. I mean, you're representing Christ. I know. We're here for that, but you're also with a few organizations. So.
Well, and I'll start with Celebrate Recovery.
Okay.
The current ministry leader. And I kind of say it like this: I'm the current ministry leader in transition at Centerpoint Church here in Brookhaven. And the way I've always believed Celebrate Recovery should work, you spend time participating in the program. You can't lead anybody anywhere you haven't been. There's been a lot of people I've come across. They wanted to jump in. Yeah, I want to help those people. I want to help those people. I want to help those people. And I used to be one of them. And then all of a sudden I start working this thing, because you got to work it. You got to put some commitment into it to actually be a leader.
Right.
And then I realized real quick, hey, although my story doesn't have a drugs to Jesus in it, man, I have a drugs to Jesus. because addiction is addiction. Some addictions are socially acceptable and some are not. But so once you've participated, you need about a good year under your belt before you can even be considered for leadership, a year and a step study.
Okay.
And so you're kind of looking at, depending on how established your program is, you're looking at about a year and probably 6 months. You get the step study under your belt, and then you can roll. Well, once you've done that, now you can take your journey to the next level and start leading. And by this point, you should know that, a leader isn't a boss, a leader is a servant.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of different capacities in CR which you can lead. And I started a program at Church of the Way and then moved back to Centerpoint. Their ministry leader had left. And so it was either I step up and fill that role, or that program's just going to die. And I'm not letting that happen. So I took over as ministry leader. And so once you're in leadership for a while, the next step is to train somebody else to take your place, because CR should never be a one-man show. And so that's what we're in the transition of doing right now. And man, I've worked really hard, and I'm so proud of my team, because now we're getting to the point. I told him, I was like, this is my first time making it this far in Celebrate Recovery. I don't really know how we're supposed to go about doing this next process, but this is what we got to figure out and what we got to do. And man, they have really stepped up to the plate. They're making the transition so smooth. And it blesses me to no end to know that they don't need me to run. As a matter of fact, when I was down in Biloxi, I was coming back, and man, Lacey, she was like, I got you, Steve. Don't even worry about it. You just come in, you just participate. And I was thinking the whole way up, like, I'm getting burnt to a crisp. I'm like, man, how am I going to lead tonight? This is ridiculous. I can barely think right now, let alone lead. And man, they have it.
Hey, Steve-O, look, hey, man, if you can hear me, we got to go for a station break right now. I want to hear more about that when we come back. So don't lose that train of thought. Okay, brother. And anyway, hey, you listen to MBR radio on MBR Talk and numerous other platforms. We're glad you're here, and we want you to stand by and join us right after this short break. It's a good song that's going to be playing, patriotic, but it has to do with what we're talking about.
I was broken for a while, a drop of blood for every mile I'm on. I took all that they gave and lived to fight another day. But if today is all I get, I'll make my mark and you can bet that I'll never surrender. On this life, and I'll never surrender. On this life, I can't change the past, but I can change how the story turns. 'Cause it's not mistakes that make us, but the lessons learned. Because what doesn't kill me will make me stronger in the end. And I'll never surrender. On this life, and I'll never surrender. On this life, and even if I fall, I'll get back up, standing tall again, with a medal on my chest. God knows I've done my best, because what doesn't kill me will make me stronger in the end. And I'll never surrender. On this life, 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 on this life.
And we are back. Steve-O, how'd you like it? Was that pretty- Yeah, I know you're musically inclined and a musician. And what do you think
I
about that?
love
That's
that.
pretty good, isn't it? Hey,
I love
listen,
it.
I mean that heavily applies to us military folks, big time. It's military broadcast radio again, where we're giving military broadcast radio gives veterans like me a voice. Okay. And we appreciate everybody, all our listeners' support and our sponsors that we have. And there's numerous. We can always use more. The show right here can even use more folks to help sponsor us to make this possible. But Steve, won't you continue sharing with us? And while you're at it, share a little bit about that. What is that jacket you got on? What is that vest? Is that
Broken Chains?
what do they call those things? But no, proceed with what you're saying. Transition into that, whatever you want to do. Okay, Steve.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where I'm at with Celebrate Recovery. I'm transitioning the new leadership in, and because the Bible says make disciples. The Bible doesn't say, as far as I know, to jump into a leadership position and then hold it and never invest in the next generation. The Bible says make disciples.
Amen.
And so for me, whatever leadership position God puts me in, well, my first thought is, all right, I want to learn this. I want to get really good at this. And then I want to look for whoever my replacement's going to be, because I want to invest in someone else, and thus make disciples. And so the other thing I'm a part of is Broken Chains. I'm the Mississippi point of contact for Broken Chains. And just a little bit about what Broken Chains is. We're a group of motorcycle enthusiasts and bikers who've our lives have been changed through the Christ-centered 12-step recovery process. Broken Chains at one point was a part of Celebrate Recovery for a while, a couple of years. And here recently, within the last, I think about a year ago, maybe, Jeff, our national director decided through lots of prayer that God was leading us to become our own separate organization. And so Broken Chains kind of took a leap of faith, and we jumped into the world as kind of our own thing. And we're not a motorcycle club by no means.
Right.
There's a couple things that would definitely disqualify us from that. And we don't have the same leadership structure as a motorcycle club. We don't have the same recruitment process as a motorcycle club. And our laser focus is recovery. That's what we do. We do recovery. We support any Christ-based recovery that we can get our hands in.
Right.
And what I'm currently working on in Mississippi is I'm trying to lay the foundation down. I've kind of waited for Broken Chains to really stabilize and get a lot of stuff worked out before we started really doing things in Mississippi. But now that that's taken care of, it's time to start doing things. And we'll support AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery, Recovery Alive, pretty much recovery houses. Here about a month ago, we did a ride for my friend John Gallagher. He runs the Black Sheep Recovery podcast, and he was telling me he needed some money, and I'm like, you know what? I know some guys. We can put something together, and we'll raise you some money. And what I didn't realize, and I don't think he realized it at the time, the money we raised was a big contributing factor to the 99 Fest that he just got through doing. And from what I understand, I don't think that would have happened had we not been able to come in with that last little bit. And, and it's just things like that. And so what I'm currently working on, I'm traveling around Mississippi. We're doing our first speaking tour. I went to, where was that place? My mind just blanked out. Don't you love it when that happens? Straight train wreck.
Well, I know you went to Biloxi or Gulfport.
Starkville. His first one was in Starkville. We met the Golden Triangle crew, and I'm gonna tell you what, I love them to death. They're awesome. And then we just came to Gulfport, and I believe our next stop is going to be in South Haven, either Laurel or South Haven. I can't remember off the top of my head. Okay. And we're going to end on the coast again. And my goal is to create that leadership, to get everybody together, let us get to know each other, and to create that leadership structure, because I really would love for Broken Chains to be the first thing that pops into somebody's head when they think about recovery.
Right on. I like it. I like that, man. Broken Chains, I got involved with it. Of course, I'm a motorcycle enthusiast. I know they got a lot of folks that actually ride. I'm friends with them on Facebook now after getting affiliated with a group. And man, good stuff. A lot of fine brothers and sisters that they come from all walks of life, right, Steve? But we all got that one. We got the few things in common. We're sinners. We're sinners now, and with this program, it's all about doing right. You got to do right, but you got to get away from that sin and what's wrong to make the improvement, to change that around, to get on what I call the Bible calls that straight and narrow path. And man, what a way to do it. I always say those first 3 steps that you read there at the beginning of the podcast, they're so strong, just being in that realization. But that number 3, where you offer your body as a living sacrifice, a living, walking, eating, breathing, talking, witnessing sacrifice. And that's where it's at. Now, on the you continue to work these steps over and over, and realizing you're part of 1, 2, and 3. But, I know that steps 4 all the way up to 12, they got numerous different ways and steps that aid in your recovery. But once you're finished with all those steps, it don't mean you're done, does it? You got to return right back to 4. You got to continue, and continue working on. And then as soon as you satisfied, maybe you had an addiction, a bad thing, or heck, with people like me with addictive personalities, there's always something I can come back that I need to recover from. But just being a sin, just to be living right. It could be, you're wanting to do a devotion more often. You're wanting to read your Bible daily. What's holding you from doing it? A 12-step. But man, of course, myself, I need to do a 12-step step program to push away from the table a little bit. I gotten heavy here in my late 50s. But started in the 40s. But anyway, hopefully I'm at my top weight, you know, and anyway, with MBR Radio, being able to use this Freedom from Struggle podcast has been a blessing to me. Okay, you know, talks about giving veterans a voice. It's been therapeutic to me. Fortunately, I'm already involved with Celebrate Recovery. I've been introduced to Broken Chains, like you're part of, and being that state representative, that state director is awesome, man. And we're great, gladfully proud to be associated or affiliated with you. I'm wanting everyone in our Celebrate Recovery group to learn more about Broken Chains, and man, it's all good stuff, right? And, and so that's what that what you call it, a cut you got on, right? It's called a cut.
Well, and what I love about Broken Chains too is it's not about the motorcycles,
right?
You know?
Right.
Traditionally, motorcycle clubs are about the motorcycles and the motorcycle culture. Man,
Right.
we love bikes. Man, I've got a whole shed full of them. You know, if you know me personally, you know I eat, sleep, and breathe Jesus and motorcycles.
Cool.
But it's not about the bikes. It's
Right.
about spreading the gospel. You know, this patch is nothing but a doorknob. It's an opportunity. And, you know, I'll wear my cut when we go on trips and when we go do things. And sometimes I'll just wear it to, you know, wear it. And
Right.
every time God opens up an opportunity, you know, I'll meet people at the gas stations and they'll ask me questions about my bike and they'll ask me questions about the patches.
Yeah.
And so quickly does it turn into, man, let's talk about Jesus and recovery, because you're going to speak about what you're passionate about.
Amen.
If you're passionate about motorcycles, you're going to speak about motorcycles. If you're passionate about guns, you're going to speak about. I love guns too. Big
Oh
gun
yeah,
guy.
right. Me too.
I'm a broke gun guy, so I don't get to play with them that often. But if you're passionate about guns, you're going to talk about guns. You're passionate about politics. That's what's going to come off your mouth. And
Right.
in the same way with Christ, if you're passionate about Christ and you experience, you know, true freedom and recovery, and that's such a loaded statement when I say that, because recovery is different for everybody. But
Yes.
the end result is the same. It's freedom. It's kind of like, in my mind, you know, if we both go down the same road, we're going to have two different experiences. You know, you're looking out one window, I'm going to look out the other.
Right.
Maybe I'm the one driving and you're just riding. It's going to be two different experiences. You know, if I hit a bump on your side, you're going to feel it harder than I would. But it's the same path, the same destination, but the journey's totally different.
Right.
And to be surrounded with quality people, and I really only find this in recovery, to be surrounded by quality people who are growth minded.
Growth mind.
It makes my journey so much easier. You know, when I remember when I first got into this, like I said, I don't have a drugs to Jesus story. I've been in the church my whole life. And at the time I was a youth pastor. And so I was there to help those people out. I play music and Rhonda needed a worship leader. And I'd sit in the share groups and, man, I had this guy's life falling apart, this guy's life falling apart, so on and so forth, and get to me and, oh, everything's cupcakes and sunshine. I don't have any problems. You know, no, he's not compared to these guys anyway. And I think we call it denial. I think that's step one. And
Hey, Steve, it's that time again.
That time again. We'll put a comment.
You mentioned something about liking guns, and I just thought I'd share with you. Look at them guns, man. I'm a gun guy too, right? I'm
Working
always
on it.
thinking about them guns. Right? That's why I'm hanging out in the fitness center right now. People looking at me like I'm crazy over here, but you know what? That's okay. Look, hey, we're part of MBR Talk, MBR Radio, giving veterans a voice. We got Steve-O with us today from Celebrate Recovery and Broken Chains, Mississippi, JC in Mississippi. And we're going to hear more about that story here just in a moment. We're going to hear a little word from some sponsors.
Introducing LT Defense Tactical Gear, your ultimate solution for top-notch protection and performance in the field. Our armor bundles provide unmatched safety and comfort, while our battle belts and holsters ensure quick and easy access to your gear. Stay prepared for any situation with our high-quality medical supplies, designed to keep you ready for action at all times. Looking to enhance your skills? Our firearms training programs will take your proficiency to the next level. Trust LT Defense for all your tactical gear needs and gear up for success on the battlefield.
Hey, that's our friend Noel, and she runs a lot of good stuff on MBR. The was a Lady Liberty Foundation. Y'all check her out. She's on tip top.
I'm digging the paint.
Hey, I'm fixing to tiptoe over here in the corner because I'm gonna have to plug in and get some more power on my laptop. But she's on TikTok, Noel, and she's got some good videos, a lot of patriotic stuff. And her and her husband, they just seem like a fine couple, and they are truly representing. They love they love giving, they love serving, they love the military, they're patriotic, and we thank them here at MBR. I know. But, keep on going, man. Talk to us a little bit more. I'm going to slip off the screen while I'm relocating here. I got to move about 50 feet. But look, we're going to be listening to you, and go ahead, man.
Yeah, like I was saying, we're all about recovery, and I totally lost my train of thought a second ago. Man, them commercials were the bomb. I'm all about it. I'm telling you, man, I love tactical gun stuff.
Hey, that's speaking of guns. No, I'm just playing. Go ahead.
I bought a Harley and I ain't got money for bullets anymore. But no, man, back to recovery stuff, and it's for anybody. It's for all walks of life. It don't really matter what you've experienced. It don't really matter what road you've been down. There's something you can get out of it. And, like I was saying, I don't have a drugs to Jesus story. And here I got involved in recovery to help them out. And so I was sitting in a share group and I kept listening to these guys. And what really struck me was the courage they had to be able to talk about some serious, serious things. And, when you start breaking down your spaces, your mental spaces, you have 3 spaces. You have a public space that you keep people in. You have a private space that's, for your friends and family. And then you have this secret space that very few people ever get to experience. You're going to let very few people in. And what I found is that's the space that you need the most, because that's where all your dirty secrets are. That's where all the hurt's kept. That's where anything that you keep anything in there that would damage you as an individual, if it ever got out. But, that's the stuff you really need to talk about. And so here I am sitting in this group, and these guys are just openly sharing things that, are just so damaging. And it's such a wild concept for me, because I was always, let's not share that stuff. Let's not talk about that stuff. And so I finally decided to face some of my own insecurities. And, my big thing was, at the time, it was dealing with my weight, and it still is. It's a difficult thing to deal with. And before, anybody made mention of my weight, I'd make a joke about it. I'd act like I was proud of it, which is really unfortunate because, man, the opportunities I missed to get healthy, I was too busy talking about how proud I was of being unhealthy. But man, when I really sat down and I took that blue coin, and I took that first step and said, man, I've got a problem. I've got a serious problem. I'm destroying my body. God gave me this as a temple to interact with this world. And I'm destroying it from the inside out. And, the breath of fresh air that I got to experience, just letting that out, just admitting that. And what I found to be so wild is nobody was there to crucify me. They just said, thank you for sharing, and they moved on. Nobody crucified me. Nobody judged me. Nobody persecuted me. I didn't lose my staff position at the church as youth pastor. It was so peaceful and freeing. And that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about recovery programs, is because, where do you go to talk about serious things? Where do you go to talk about things that you keep in that secret space? Because I believe that secret space has a purpose. It has a use and it has a purpose, but it's not for keeping. It's not to be cluttered. It's not to be constantly dirty. You got to keep flushing that thing out. You got to keep constantly cleaning it out, because there's some secrets that you do need to keep. When somebody comes and talks to me about some personal things, Well, that's what that secret space is for. Whatever they tell me is going to stay with me. I don't have the need to run to somebody else gossiping. I don't have the need to validate myself at their expense, man. I can genuinely stop and care about that individual. And that's another thing I experienced with CR. We got going and I started going through the leadership training. Me and Les were traveling all over the state, visiting different CRs. We met Bobby Pepper at the time. He was the state rep. And he showed us what a model CR is supposed to look like. And through the training process, I experienced, it was in the middle of COVID, it was CR's first online summit. And so I kept hearing testimony after testimony after testimony. And until this one lady got up and started talking about codependency. And, it was so offensive what she had to say. And all she's doing is just sharing her story and sharing her experiences. But it was so offensive to me. I literally shut the computer and I was like, I'm done with this. We're done. I don't want to hear anymore. This is hurting my feelings. My wife was in the other room watching the summit on her phone. And I just shut that thing and walked out the door and went on a motorcycle ride. And if you've ever spent some time on a bike and you don't have one of those obnoxious ones with the stupid radios, all you have is a motor and the wind blowing past your ears to listen to. And so you really have a lot of time to think. And I started thinking about what she said about codependency. And pretty much what codependency is you getting your self-worth. You define your self-worth based off of the opinions of people around you. And it results in really one of two directions, one of two sets of behaviors. You're either going to, and pretty much everybody has a form of codependency. You're either going to suck up to people whose there go train wrecking again. Yep, I lost it. Train crash.
Hey, that's fine, man. But no, that makes it, man. When you got to figure out what you can do to come back from it, right? Hey,
yeah. Let me try again.
Yeah, you hit that train wreck, and then dang.
Well, it's really fun when I'm on stage in front of a bunch of people and this happens. All I can do is just make a joke about it. Well, look, I got this. When me and Tara first got together, this is great. We had this wreck. All right. So we get together. Everybody thought it was a joke for a while. We thought we were doing this for attention. And then they found out, we're like, okay, we're really married. and then we wreck our car. And I hit my head on the roof really bad. And then ever since then, I've had this weird form of dyslexia where I'll be reading. And it took me a while to figure out that this is what's going on because I never experienced this before. I'll be reading. And of course, you can see things out of your peripheral vision. It'll just jumble up the words. Like words from here will pop up to here, and words from here will pop up to here. And for a long time, I would be speaking, and my sentences would be out of order. The words in my sentences would get knocked out of order. It was a weird experience. And I finally practiced speaking enough to where it's not bad. But sometimes, man, I'll just blank out. I'll forget whatever my next word is going to be. And then I'm like, why can't I remember this word? It's such a good word. I love big words, and I can't remember it, and whatever the whole thought goes.
There's one thing what I think of when you say
approval. That's what it was.
Listen, I don't want to get anything really started to where it's bad. We're not going to comment on this, but I'm Red Skelton, right? And I've always got a little bit of humor. We talk about forgetting what we're going to say and all this guy. Who does this remind you of? You don't even have to say the name. Just think about it in your head. This guy, man, when back in the day when oh, by the way, let me tell you about this. Anyway, that's all I got. That was my little performance. Y'all take it where you want to. It ain't nothing about the guns, but it was just something breaking some ice. You know what I'm saying? But hey, talking about, you mentioned your wife, Tara. I got to meet her too. And I've watched a lot of her just being friends with you guys and on Facebook, showed a lot of her devotions and her thoughts for the day that she shares. And that is so awesome. And I really hope to get her on the podcast one of these days. I know it's on Saturdays. That's probably we can possibly pre-record it. I like doing it live better just because, you have the, you get to yeah, exactly. You get to be in a train wreck together, even though we're not all married, you know what I mean? But we're in the same fight, right? And that's the cool thing about the military stuff. We've been in a war. The military folks, we've been in a war. Okay, as Christians, as believers, there's a war going on. I mean, there's war, and even if you're not a believer yet, because you haven't completed the first couple, 2 or 3 steps in Celebrate Recovery, it's a war, man. It's out there, and there's a spiritual warfare against all of us in every walk of life, whether you realize it or not. Thankfully, yourself, me, Tara, a lot of our friends and family are in the army of God, and we just have to put on our armor and go get it, right? Day after day after day, witnessing and just being, hopefully showing Christ in ourselves. Damn, it's another time for a station break, MBR Talk. Man, I wish we had a bloopers video of me trying to run this podcast today. It'd be hilarious. But since we don't, just forget I even said that. It's been perfect. You know what I mean? So, hey, we're going to go back to another little break real quick here. We got Mav on the background, and we thank him. He's got his own show. I wish he had run a commercial of it sometime on here just so they get noticed and get a little plug in. But anyway, Matt, take it away.
This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Make it clear that the views expressed by our host are not considered the official stance of MBR views. Remember, this is all about having fun and enjoying the ride.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
It's all about having fun, like you said. But if you're a parent, I know each of you, I trust each of you. You don't want somebody else raising your sons and daughters. Okay. Well, that's patriotic with America, and I stand true to it. And a lot of us put on the blue suits, green suits throughout our careers, and was willing to hit that line, to walk that line. Many of them did. A lot of them didn't come back. I remind you to wear your red on Fridays till they all come home. Just throw that in there. Hey, man, a bunch of vets. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Well,
Steve, we're just a bunch of vets. And hey, and that's so many people care for the military, and they're so good to us, and we thank them. And man, we're all in this fight together, like I was saying before we took the break. But raising your sons and daughters, man, look, if we don't, I was fortunate to get past my alcoholism, because I tell you what, if I wouldn't have gotten a 12-step program and got that recovery, there's a good chance I wouldn't have been raising my sons and daughters. Actually, I only had sons at that time, so there wouldn't even be a daughter. And the Lord blessed us with a precious little girl back in let's say what was a precious little girl back in 2000. Now she's all grown up, 24. She thinks she can do it all on her own. You know what I mean? But mom and daddy still love her real big, and it's been a blessing. But that's all because I was able to recover. Hey, I saw a couple of comments, Steve. I don't know if you can see them, but man, there's several different people have said they're in the house, and it's cool to see them. You know, hey, I'm here with bells on. I'm here. Hey, love you guys. You know, and somebody say, hey, the Hope Dealers forever and stuff like that. So you know, it's all cool, and it just builds our excitement about the ministry. I mean, hey, look, Freedom from Struggle right here with Steve-O at Red's Roundtable. It's a ministry, right? Anyway, look, share some more with us, Steve-O. I know you got more.
Oh yeah, I got plenty more. Well, and you know, just watching the different things. I wish I would have joined the military, to be honest with you. When I've always had a heart for veterans. My dad is a veteran. He served in Desert Storm in the Air Force. And I think that's one of the things I think is the coolest about him. You know, I would always tell my friends, my dad was in the military and he's a black belt in Taekwondo. I don't know what his actual belt is, but I think he was one test away from being a black belt. So that's close enough to me. So my dad could beat up all my friends' dads.
That's right. Might have had to take it up for you. I was
always so proud of his military service. And when I was looking at the military, I wanted to be a fighter pilot. And I talked to an Air Force recruiter, and he's like, dude, you wear glasses. You can't be a pilot. That was it. That was all the recruitment I got. I'm like, well, that stinks. I got to find something else to do. I wanted to be a fighter pilot. He could have pointed me in a tank. He could have said, hey, man, what else you interested in, you know? If all it would have taken was maybe the Navy to come up to me and says, hey, you want to be a machinist in a nuclear aircraft carrier? I'd have been all over that.
Hey, Steve, I tell you what, with the military and the recruiters, I mean, maybe I shouldn't even say it, but hey, timing is everything.
Yeah, man.
Hey, they might have been having a good month, you know, kind of like car salesmen. They weren't really worried about making the sale, but by golly, if they're needing to meet a quota, they'll take you.
They could have showed me a video of machine guns or something. Jeez, it would have been an easy sale. Oh, because now they just straight crashed my plane and said, "Oh, you can't be a pilot. You wear glasses." There we go.
Crash and burn.
Well, and a segue back, you know, I've always had a heart for veterans. I rode for the Patriot Guard for a long time. For about a year, I rode with them, and I really got to know a lot of the Vietnam veterans. I made the mistake one time of riding in a helicopter with some and telling them it was my first helicopter experience. So this dude, he just smiles at me, and I'm like, I'm doomed. Takes me up in the sky, drops out of the sky, does these weird things I didn't know helicopters could even do, and this raggedy old Huey that sounds like it's fixing to fall apart. And I'm like, this is great. I loved it, though. I loved it. They were great, and everybody, the guy in front of me, is just, you know, this is normal. This is what we do.
He wasn't impressed.
No, he was laughing at me is what it was.
I guarantee you back in it, he was.
Don't get on a free helicopter ride. Anyway, I'm being dumb. But no,
that's good. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
And, you know, segue back to recovery, and because there's an opportunity for any veterans who struggle with addiction. I don't have to understand to care about people. I don't have to understand to listen. And I've had so many people just talk to me.
Right.
I can't, I'm not going to act like I can relate. I'm not going to act like I've experienced things I haven't. But I can listen, and I can care, and I can listen, and I can give you a safe place to get this stuff off your chest. You know, when you're having the nightmares and you're struggling, you're trying to drown it away with drugs and alcohol, and you're struggling with your family. Talk to me. I'll listen.
We all struggle too.
And I'm pretty confident to say anybody in Celebrate Recovery would be willing to say the same.
Exactly.
Hey, you got people. And there's a lot of veterans in recovery, in the recovery.
I was just fixing to ask you that. Are there any people like myself in Celebrate Recovery or a 12-step program?
Oh yeah, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. Man, one of our I think he's the director over Central. I I can't remember these people's in Broken Chains. Can't remember all their titles.
Sure, right.
But man, he's military security. I mean, if it involved a gun, I'm pretty sure he had something to do with it. And the regional director, he's military. He's ex-military, from what I understand. Just all throughout our organization, we've got veterans.
There's a lot of them.
So you know, for me in my case, if a veteran needed more care than I could provide, like they really needed some help, man, it's just a matter of starting to make phone calls. I could reach out to you. I could just start reaching out to people.
We have the resource. There's resources.
There's resources and there's options. And just to be a part of that, hey, you're not alone. You went through some stuff that's difficult and you're not alone. And you're going through stuff that's difficult and you're not alone. And to be able to genuinely say, hey, I care about you. I don't have to understand to care. I care about you.
Right.
Because that's what recovery is about. And, you know, taking it to a spiritual thing, you know, recovery is a battle. It's a battle. It's a battle within yourself. You know, you have these two sides to you. You have this logical conscience that's in your left brain, and you have this emotional conscience in your right brain. You know, if I told you to touch your nose, did you have to think about it? You just touch your nose, you feel it, and you touch your nose. Well, that's what your left brain does. You ever walked into Walmart and spent $200 when you went for a Twinkie? Well, there you go. Marketing manipulated that left brain, because that's the part of you that drives you into doing things. And so recovery for me taught me how to balance that out, and is teaching me how to balance that out, because there's sometimes you really should rely on those instincts to be able to just do things. Well, I was doing German longsword with a guy. We was fencing, and every time I tried to work something out, you know, I'm logically thinking about this. I try to work something out. He'd hand it to me. Nothing I would do would work. But when I'd look that guy in the eyes and I would just focus that part of my mind on looking him in the eyes, man, I'd hand it to him. It was over with. I was able to block. I was able to parry his moves. I was able to hit him. That's when I got all my points, is when I could just look him in the eyes. And it was a battle. And in recovery, you know, when I start peeling the internal programming of how my head works, why I have these compulsions to do things, why I struggle with this, why I struggle with that, what part of me struggles with these things, what version of me struggles with these things. Recovery is one of the big reasons that I've started studying psychology and studying how the human mind works. And one of the things I've learned is each emotion you experience can be nearly considered a different individual. If I was to take a personality test when I'm angry, well, I would have different results than if I would have taken a personality test, say, when I'm sad or when I'm happy. And you can see that these different individuals live inside of you, but they all work together and they're all simultaneous. And so when it comes to addictions, I can start to see, all right, well, this is where the compulsion comes from. Well, okay, well, how do I discipline this part of me? How do I laser focus that discipline on this part of me to where this no longer becomes an issue?
Right.
And, you know, a lot of people that don't understand recovery, their laser focus is on the issue. Okay, well, just quit drinking and you'll be fine. You know, if you have PTSD, well, suck it up and you'll be fine. Well, they don't understand
more to
how that works.
Little more
how that works. I went through the car wreck I told you about. Man, I a very mild form of PTSD from it. When if I ride with somebody and the right circumstances hit, I relive it all over.
Right.
And that's a car wreck. That's not a bomb. That's not gunfire. That's not any of that. That's a car wreck. That's like this big compared to what other people experience.
It's a stress regardless.
If I can't suck that up, then man, how can anybody else be expected to? But when I learned how that works, okay, when I sit in a car and I hang on to that handle, well, that's what I was doing during the wreck. Okay, well, that creates an emotional anchor. Right. It's the same feeling, and that's why I stay stressed out every time I go around. Well, I started letting it go. I just let it go.
Steve-O, we got about 1 minute left, maybe just a little bit more. What's your biggest thoughts you'd like to share with everybody that you just really desire to share. If you could lay that on us real quick, and then after you're done, we'll close out and have our close. Okay.
Man, real simple. Change is possible. Change is possible. There's nothing you're going through that you can't grow from. And
Hope's
that
out
you're
there.
not alone. You're absolutely not alone.
There's light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Exactly.
Reach out, make that phone call. Look, Celebrate Recovery. I wanted to mention there's apps that you can look up. Celebrate Recovery. I believe there's an app for Alcoholics Anonymous and all these other type programs. There's help. Look online. You can Google pretty much anything. But Celebrate Recovery actually has an app, and it'll tell you where the meetings are and the times of those meetings in a town or community near you. And I just urge anybody that's, reach out, check it out, go to a meeting, just see what it's like. You don't have to say anything while you're there. Just introduce yourself to one of the people when you first get there. Usually they got a good meal you can eat, at most all of them. And then you can sit there and sing a few songs with everybody and just listen to a program. Give it a chance. Maybe stay for a small group afterwards with the men, separated from the women, where you can talk and relate to somebody that's got a similar situation to yourselves. We're never there to heal somebody. We're not doctors. We're not. It's a safe place. It's a safe place. It's a safe haven. It's where you can go to get what I say, freedom from struggle. Okay. And I just urge you to do that. I want to take a big thanks out to everybody that was on watching the podcast today. I saw there was a bill that's proud of you, and saw a comment of that, and ought to make you proud. And anyway, and numerous other comments. I want to mention also the guy behind the sound today. He has a show. It's called Slacker 82 Alpha. Slacker 82 Alpha. I think if you go to that show, you'll meet a guy named Maverick and Goose. But anyway, they're on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern time. You can find them on MBR Talk, MBR Radio, and numerous platforms. Look them up, like them. Look Freedom from Struggle up. Subscribe, listen to me. I'm on Facebook, and we'd love to have you there. And we're willing to talk anytime via Messenger. If it needs to be private, or you can just sit there and make comments on the page itself. Look, thanks everybody for being here. And if you're not watching it live, we ask you to join us live on Saturday afternoons at 3:00 Central Time. And Steve-O, we thank you for being here. God bless you, brother. And look forward to walking this path and being in the fight with you. Okay. Thank you.
Definitely.
Okay. And one other thing, Matt, before we leave, I just want to remind everybody, there's a longer prayer than this, but if you're in despair at any time, just try to look up the Serenity Prayer online. There's a long version, there's a short version. But man, I just have to take my hat off and say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I'll throw amen after that. Thank you, Lord, for you being you and letting us do what we do here on this beautiful earth. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Maverick, take it away, brother.
That's the show for today, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with an all-new show. And remember, you can listen to us again and again. The podcast of this radio show is available right after we go off the air tonight, anywhere that you can get your podcast episodes. And thanks for joining us today. I'd like to take a moment to talk about something close to my heart. Military Broadcast Radio is doing incredible work to support our veterans and bring their voices to the world. They rely on your generous donations and your dedicated volunteer hours to make it happen. I encourage you to consider supporting NBR in any way, form that you can. Use this QR code that's attached to the picture, or you can go to our website at mbradio.us. That's Mike Bravo Radio.us to learn more about how you can donate or volunteer even just an hour a week from your home help make a difference in the lives of our veterans. Because once again, we're all here for you and not for us. We're giving our veterans a voice.